In this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step a exact breakdown of my sales call that I took live on a podcast to close a $6,000 deal for an offer that I've never sold before. By the way, if you have not seen that video yet, I would highly recommend watching that first. So I'll leave a link in the description where you can go and watch this full call uncut. I would go watch it raw first, come back to this video, and then watch the breakdown so that it really sinks in. Now, a lot of you guys like that video. That one saw quite a bit of traction on this channel. So I thought, let me break it down. Let me walk you through step by step how I actually did it and how I was able to sell something that I'd never sold before using the systems and the principles that I've learned over 5 years in the high ticket sales space after closing $6 million. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's jump straight into it.
Casual shirt.
Oh, that's
It's
nice.
gonna be my airport fit. Yeah, white and green.
So that's the thing, like, you're leaning into this.
Yeah.
It's really gonna pay off.
Yeah, no, I'm keen.
Just that the guy just messaged me now. He's an hour late. He got the wrong time, but he's online now if you want to do a sales call.
Yeah. So yeah, a bit of backstory. That was our friend Oscar. So he was listening in the background of the podcast, and we booked the studio for 2 hours, and we were about an hour 15 in, and Piero and I just had this natural pause in the convo, and Oscar was like, "Hey, just had this sales call. Do you want to take it?" And I was like, "Man, that would be crazy." So yeah, this is my live reaction to it.
Do you want to do it? I can do the P.
Okay, so how much is your offer again?
6K,
Okay, and for how long?
180 days.
Can I go P?
Yeah, go for it.
So okay, 6 months, 180 days.
One coaching call a week. I'll send an email now say because I just sent a text now saying he's an hour late.
Yeah.
But I can maybe do it now if he wants.
Yeah,
Do you
100%.
down?
Yeah, okay. So,
Spontaneous.
so one call a week, 6 months.
I've written it down for you.
6K. Any group? Oh yeah, and then he gets you do looms, right?
Yeah, looms, and then one call a week. Yeah.
Okay.
Stop.
Oh no. Can we still run from? So yeah, the studio was like, "Oh, you guys done?" And I was like, "No, please, like, let's record this." But let's skip a little bit. Let's get into the sales call.
Show a message. Hey.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, good mate, good. It's just Orlando from Oscar's team. How you going?
I'm doing well, how you doing?
Good. Just staying out of trouble, hey? Trying to. It's a bit harder than it seems. I'm sorry for the mishap. I'm just the head of fulfillment here with Oscar. We just had something going.
Not gonna lie, right there, I was stalling so hard. I was like, "What the heck do I say as to why like we got the times wrong?" But that was part of the improvisation.
The times, so apologies for that. But is it still a good time for you to chat?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So I got some notes from your application, but there might be a bit of crossover just between what you mentioned on there. So could you just kind of give me the rundown of like what you're trying to achieve with YouTube at the moment?
Okay, cool. So let's break down that first one. So at the start, I've got some notes from Oscar, but there might be a bit of crossover. I didn't see his application, but I still say that because when they fill out the form, people don't want to feel like they're filling out a form for no reason. So I'm like, "Hey, I saw the notes, but there's going to be some crossover." Basically saying you're going to repeat yourself to what you said on the form on today's call. And then instead of going, "Does that make sense? You with me? Is that cool?" I don't set a hard frame or anything like that. You can set a frame. I set frames on some calls. On this one, I didn't feel like I needed to. I had someone asking in the comments on my last video saying, "Why didn't you set a frame on this call?" And part of it was I just didn't think about it. But it's also the fact that when you get good enough at sales, when you've run enough calls like these, even if you don't set a frame at the start, you can still navigate the conversation accordingly. Because if the conversation went AWOL, I would know how to bring it back in. Now, if you don't, if you're maybe a beginner, that's where a frame can help. And even to this day, I still sometimes run frames, but that's why I didn't on this call. Now, when I follow up, I'm following up with a question. What's the overall outcome you want to achieve with your YouTube channel? Because what's this going to do? This is going to get him talking about him, the business, his goals. Right now, I just want him to unload for about a minute or two so we can just get the conversation going and it puts the focus on him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm a financial advisor. I am in the process of starting my own practice. And really my goal with YouTube is to create a funnel of potential clients that can become financial advisory clients.
Okay.
With that, I don't want the YouTube to be just limited to financial planning clients. There can be a multitude of things that I can use these YouTube followers for, whether it's creating a Discord, whether it is doing consulting services. But overall, my number one goal with the YouTube is just to use it for a platform for client generation.
Okay, perfect. So right now you work in the financial industry, and that's your full-time job at the moment. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, cool. And so the goal behind starting this coaching business is the goal to ideally transition out of your full-time job if you can, or do you always want to have that going?
Okay, cool. So whenever you're selling a business opportunity, which is essentially an offer where someone wants to transition out of their 9 to 5 into a business, I want to find out the long-term goal is to do that full-time. The reason I do that is because one of a few things. One, it gets them thinking, okay, I'm not in the desired situation currently, but it also gets them realizing that they're in a transition. They're transitioning out of their 9 to 5 to a business. Because a lot of the times what happens is people say, oh, it's just going to be a side thing. It'll be nice to have some extra income. That's not a 6K problem. A 6K problem is I don't like my job. I want to quit and do my own business full time so I can have XYZ, which we'll touch on in a sec. So the way I frame that is, okay, so do you want to transition full time if you could? I add if you could, because otherwise people say, oh, well, it depends how much money it's making. So I'm removing that. Do you want to transition full time if you could? Or do you always want to keep working your other job no matter what? Now, it's a little bit exaggerated, but I say it in a genuine way because, again, what I'm removing here is them basically saying, oh, it'll be nice to have an extra stream of income. It's just a nice to have. It's just a side thing. I want to remove that and get them to admit, okay, I want to do this business full time, if that's the case for them. For some people, it's not, and then we navigate it differently. But most of the time in a biz op, they do want to transition full time. Okay, I'm just going to change it to 1.25. Hopefully you guys can understand, but watching myself on 1x speed is quite painful.
To ideally transition out of your full-time job if you can, or do you always want to have that going?
It would be to transition out of my full-time job, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Just from your end, what's the main reason you actually want to transition out though?
Okay, so I want to break down that question as well. What's the main reason you want to transition out? What a lot of closers will do is they'll just assume why the person wants to quit. Oh, they obviously want more time. They obviously want to travel. They obviously want more money. Don't assume that. I want to ask, what are the main reasons you want to transition out? Because what answer is this going to elicit? It's going to get them to tell me all of the problems, essentially. What they want, what they don't want, what they don't like about their current job, why they want to transition. It's going to give me their why, a little bit of pain, not like a heap amount of pain. I don't go for a load of pain, you'll see on this call, early on at least. But it's going to give me all of the problems, essentially.
The main reason is I want to build my own practice in the financial services business, similar to being like a lawyer or a doctor. If you work for a firm, you can have a good life, but it's not going to be as lucrative and successful as as sourcing your own clients.
Gotcha.
Or any financial advisor, sourcing clients is their number one roadblock to building a practice. It takes a lot of time, and also you have to have the right type of clients coming through the doors. So ultimately I was like, okay, based on the age we live in, YouTube is nothing but a giant free marketing machine. If you can get it going and started, and it's a great way to open yourself up to many potential clients.
100%. Okay, cool. So for you to actually transition out
To be fair, looking back at that, I didn't really get the answer I need there. What I would have done in hindsight, if I was back in that moment and I wasn't live on a podcast studio, what I would have done, what I would do next time is then just re-ask, okay, gotcha. And so what's the main reason you want to leave your current job though? Right. So I'd frame it more about his current job because he more so gave me what he wants. He didn't really tell me what he doesn't like about his current job. So I probably would have gone back and done that.
Your full-time role and just do this business full-time, how much would you need to be making so you can actually make that transition?
Okay, so that's a tangible goal question, right? We've established, okay, he's working a full-time job. He wants to transition out. Ideally, we've got a bit about why he wants to transition out. Then we want to find out tangible numbers, okay? People buy emotionally, they justify with logic. Most closers forget the logic part. We're going to build the vision. We're going to build the pretty picture, get him feeling emotional. But we need to found it on logical grounds, and that's where the tangible number comes in of, okay, how much does this business need to be making so that you can transition out like you said you wanted?
Well, revenue, I'd probably want the revenue around 200,000 to 250,000, just because, of course, you have to account for your expenses. and growth of the business. Being full transparent, my salary right now is $100,000 a year. But for me to just walk away completely and leave, I want it to be around 2 to 250 because I know businesses also fluctuate, right? Like you can be making great money one day and then they change the algorithm and it's something different.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So in terms of getting to the 200K plus per year, that's roughly what, like 16K a month, 17K a month, something like that. Like, we actually believe anyone can go out there and learn YouTube, learn the algorithm, learn, how to do good titles, thumbnails, get good views on their own. It's just maybe a matter of, how long it takes, how many obstacles you got to jump over, right? So for you, why not try and just figure it out on your own? Why potentially consider getting outside help?
Cool. I want to break that down. That's removing the DIY objection, the do-it-yourself objection. Sounds good, Orlando, but I just want to try this by myself first. Now, that was it might seem long-winded, but as you can tell, the way I deliver it, it doesn't seem long-winded when I say it. When you read it on a script, it looks long. But what I'm doing there is I'm acknowledging, hey, we believe anyone can go out and do this on their own. Because I don't want him to say, well, yeah, I could do it on my own. Yeah, we know that. That's obvious. You could do it on your own. Anyone can. The information's out there. So I'm taking that away. And then I'm saying, so why not be one of those guys? Why not be the guy that tries to figure things out on your own? Because then what's he going to say? He's going to say, oh, because I want to get results quicker. I want to learn from someone who's done it, blah, blah, blah. He's going to tell us all the reasons he doesn't want to do it by himself.
I work with entrepreneurs every day, and you can figure things out on your own, but the smartest people go and get help, right? I'm good at what I'm good at. I'm
the smartest people.
Good at finance. I'm very good at investing. YouTube, social media, everything like that. It's been a journey, right? And my just basic belief is the same reason people pay me. They can go learn how to make their own portfolio on their own. They don't have to pay me, but they pay me because I'm really good at it. Because I know what I'm talking about. So that's the main thing right there. I've watched a ton.
Perfect answer.
Videos, do this, do that. I do feel like I've came a long way since December from when I started in just a short amount of period of time. And being transparent, I'm not looking for a get rich quick. I'm not expecting to go on YouTube and magically just wake up one day and have a million followers. I realize any business, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. So now I'm just putting the time and the effort into it to be like, okay, let me go ahead and reach out to somebody, just see what they're talking about, see what their method is, and see if it's a good fit. Because I could probably cut this time down into a third, or not even cut the time down, just save myself a lot of pain and heartache, the same way I help clients save themselves pain and heartache by investing.
Yeah, and that's what smart business owners do, right? I mean, kudos to you for actually having the mindset of, hey, let me fast track this, let me learn from someone who's done this before, because you'd be surprised how many people they try and do it on their own and they just keep banging their head against the wall trying to be a lone wolf, and they never actually ask for help. I don't know if it's an ego thing, but there's a lot of people like that, so kudos to you for not being one of those guys.
Cool. Now, don't want that to fly over your head. I just did something very intentional there. I just set a frame. I set an identity frame. Yeah, that's what smart business owners would say. So I'm labeling him as a smart business owner. And then I also congratulated him for thinking that way. This is going to sound really dumb, but when you have a dog and you want it to repeat a behavior, you don't smack him for doing a bad behavior. You give him treats when he does the good behavior. Humans are the same as dogs, okay? We need to be rewarded for things that we want to be encouraged to do things more often. So when I heard him say that, I'm going to reaffirm him and congratulate him for being one of those guys. And then I'm not just going to leave it there. I'm going to compare him to the wrong type of people, the type of people that I don't want him to be like, which are the guys that want to be a lone wolf, they have an ego, they want to try and figure it all out on their own. So I'm going to play that again with that context. You guys can really see what I mean. But that was very intentional. That wasn't me just summarizing or keeping the conversation going. I was doing that with a lot of purpose right there.
It's a good fit. Because I could probably cut this time down into, a third, or not even cut the time down, just save myself a lot of pain and heartache, the same way I help clients save themselves pain and heartache by investing.
Yeah, and that's what smart business owners do, right? I mean, kudos to you for actually having the mindset of, hey, let me fast track this, let me learn from someone who's done this before, because you'd be surprised how many people they try and do it on their own and they just keep banging their head against the wall trying to be a lone wolf, and they never actually ask for help. I don't know if it's an ego thing, but there's a lot of people like that, so kudos to you for not being one of those guys. What do you feel like you actually need help with to grow the YouTube channel and actually get to the 200K a year mark so you can do it full time?
Cool. So that's getting his ideal criteria essentially. What does he want to be pitched? That's essentially what I'm asking. Everything he tells me that he wants help with here is what I'm going to pitch him at the end. I'm going to tailor my pitch and my presentation to exactly what he says he wants help with, which is why I asked that question. Again, every question we ask, guys, has a purpose. It has a reason.
Views. A couple things. I got the thumbnails things down. Recently found out about Pixel, and that if you look on my page, there's a video with a really nice thumbnail. But I had good thumbnails before. driving traffic to the page and driving organic traffic. You know, like you said, I can go out there and pay some YouTube whatever that says, hey, I'm gonna get you this many views per month and all that stuff, and all that stuff is cool, but there's a right way to do business and there's a wrong way to do business. So I feel like my number one roadblock right now is views and traffic. Also, just being honest, like, I'm not a videographer. Right now, I've discovered a lot of tools that have that have sped up my process a lot with the editing AI tools that are available that are amazing. But with that being said, I really haven't been hung up on that because I've watched plenty of people's YouTube page that their video quality is not studio and they get millions of views. It's just all about the content and if it's in the right people's hands.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, cool. And so, like, how you've been running the channel since December, you said? Is that right?
Yeah, December.
So before you saw like Oscar's content, like have you been out there looking for ways to like get help with YouTube professionally so you can scale it quicker?
So right there, now I'm going to find out his buying pattern. Okay, how does this guy make decisions? Why hasn't he done something about this in the past? Or if he has looked at things, why hasn't he got the results he wants? So I'm going to break all of that down and see, okay, what's this guy's buying patterns? What potential objections could he give me later on that I can handle right here, right now?
Not necessarily. So when I started, I have another website that's like an online kind of blog. And I've had that since 2023.
Okay.
In December, when I started the YouTube because I said, okay, most people just don't like to read, and that's a harder road versus using video content and there's a larger audience on YouTube. And when I started making them, I just wanted to build the habit of consistency. I wasn't really too much worried about like, oh, I need this many views or I gotta do this. I was just like, okay, let me build the habit of creating videos, getting a script down, putting myself on camera, getting more comfortable on camera. And now about 5 to 4 months into it is now when I've gotten to I think I have about, including YouTube Shorts, about 30 videos on my page, so I kind of got a good work rhythm down. And I'm like, okay, now that I have some content, now that I have a sample size, and I pretty much know, and I have a little bit of analytics, although I only have, 30 subscribers. I was like, now let me reach out and get help versus just starting it in the beginning when I don't even have a sample size.
Yeah, you feel like you've got a good base to now scale.
Yeah, and I know the workload. I know, how long it takes me to make a video, about how long it takes to edit, just all those little things, so I can know like what the workload is.
Okay, gotcha. And so like aside from you having the base now, like what else has kind of shifted for you recently to where you're like, okay, now let me look at starting to get professional help?
The reason I'm going here is I didn't really get any urgency there. I didn't really get like why he wants to do something now. Looking back, I probably could have even gone a bit deeper as to why he hasn't done something. Like he mentioned that he just didn't really have a good base foundation. If I had more time and I wasn't like live on a podcast studio with like 40 minutes to go, I probably would have dissected that a bit more and been like, okay, well, why do you feel like you needed to have a base before you got started? Tackle that mindset a little bit. I just didn't on this call.
Aside from you having the base now, like what else has kind of shifted for you recently to where you're like, okay, now let me look at starting to get professional help like now, rather than like some people who are just like keep trying to do it on their own?
So right there, I'm getting urgency now. Okay. Like why does he want to do something about this now? So that again, I don't get a think about it objection. I don't get a, let me do this in 3 months objection. Like let's get some urgency here.
It's the turning point of, this was always a business to me, but, just on another note, I finished grad school in March, and grad school was taking up a lot of my time. So once I got my MBA, I was like, okay, now I'm ready to 100 commit to this as a business because before I was splitting my time with graduate school.
Okay, cool. So now you feel like you're at a point where, because like you said, it's not get rich quick. Like it does take time, it takes effort, it takes work, and it's good that you know that. You feel like now you're at a point where you can commit that?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Once I finished, I was always like, okay, I'm going to finish grad school in March. Once I finish grad school in March, I want to focus my time and energy on this because, like I said in the beginning, quite frankly, if you're going to be successful in my industry, in my business, you're not going to be successful working at a firm. You're going to be successful going out and getting your own clients. And you can build an extremely successful practice if you only have 25 to 50 clients. Like you don't need thousands of clients. You just need the right clients. And so I saw YouTube as a combination of that. It's like, okay, I can find the high ticket clients that really make the core of my business. But also, if I build a big enough subscriber base, there's just so many things you can offer through YouTube, whether that's a Discord chat, whether that's paid courses, whether that's, the possibilities are endless.
So what did you see from Oscar that had you feel like, we can help with that?
So now I'm trying to get a little bit of buy-in on like Oscar specifically, as opposed to like other YouTube creators out there.
I just looked at his page, liked his presentation, checked out the website, things like that. And I was just like, all right, let me reach out. And I'm always a person, I'm always open to ideas. And really it's all about because I work in service industry, right, with sales, I guess you can call it, even though, and I realize like it's about just listening to somebody. Can they fix a problem that you have? Do you like the roadmap that they're giving you?
Yeah.
And if you do, roll with it, and if you don't, you can always find somebody else.
Yeah, 100%. And like, what did you see from Oscar, like on the website when you were checking him out, that had you feel like we can actually help you get there? Like, actually,
I had to re-ask that because I didn't really get the answer I want. I got a little bit. He said that he checked him out, but he didn't really say. He said he liked the presentation. That was about it. And then he said, but if the roadmap's not right, I'll find someone else. So I'm kind of like, oh, let me get a little bit more buy-in before I just move on.
build the YouTube.
Well, one, just his page, right? It goes without saying, if you're gonna build a page with a lot of subscribers and things like that, one, they have to have done it themselves, and two, the flow of the content was really good. And so I was like, okay, let me specifically reach out to him because he has the flow of the content, he has the subscribers, and at a minimum, I just want to check out what they have to offer. And what they're saying.
Yeah. 100%.
I wasn't necessarily a big fan because a lot of people do the whole, buy my 14-day course kind of thing. Maybe some are good, maybe some aren't, but I wasn't necessarily looking for that. Just buying another course and sitting down and do that. I was really looking for somebody that's like a strategic partner and can sit down and look at the page and be like, hey, this is specifically what's going to increase. This is specifically how you can grow and scale the channel versus me just sitting in front of a computer watching some videos.
Yeah, like an actual mentor that's like personalizing the advice for you in your situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So like, let's say we do that, right? And Oscar helps you with that and we help you get more views, get more leads, ultimately more sales. And let's say you're at the point where you're making 200 grand plus per year, you're able to quit your full-time job and just go all in on the business. Like, what would that actually change for you?
So now we're going into future pace, positive future pace. Like, what's going to be different? How good is life going to be essentially once you have the outcome that you want? So we're going to get him to start feeling and thinking positively about the future.
I mean, it would change everything. It would change the entire game. So the whole point I'm at right now is, if you look at any of my videos, I don't actually sell anything, and that's on purpose, right? I don't sell anything because, one, I work for a firm. If I'm selling a product, then I'm working for a firm. And then two, I didn't want to get on YouTube and just start selling product. I want it to be a value add where people can go and actually get tangible value, because that's what I did when I was learning investment. I went to plenty of people's pages that were phenomenal information and they didn't sell me anything, and they eventually got to that point. But building that page, getting that revenue, getting that business going, it's the number one priority for me right now, because all in all, it's my life, it's my career. I'm in this to build a business. I'm in this to try to build something that's going to help people, but that'll also help me build my own financial advice.
And what would it do for you personally to actually build the business to that point though?
So the reason I asked personally is I want to get some feeling. I want to get some emotion. Now you're going to see in a second, he kind of pushes back or is a little bit confused. So you'll see how I re-ask it. But I got some tangibles. I got what it would change for him with the business. Now I want to get some like personal emotion and feeling.
I mean, like I said, it would do a lot. It's everything. It's
Like, in what sense though?
in one sense, like how? What do you mean? Sorry.
Like for you, so like day to day, right? Like how would life be different then once you've got the business, it's full time, you're just focusing on that compared to maybe now working the full-time job? Like day to day, what would actually change for you?
I'd probably be a lot more busier, that's for sure.
Okay. That doesn't sound like a good thing.
It is. I work with we only work with entrepreneur clients at my firm, so I kind of have an inside scoop on like the day-to-day life of entrepreneurs, and I don't have this vision of, hey, I'm gonna build this YouTube channel and all of a sudden start hanging out at the beach and sipping pina coladas. Like, it's just not reality, right? But I also realize that the only way that I'm going to reach my goals that I want just professionally and for my life is to start a business. It's just point blank period. Like, if you're waiting around for a raise or trying to get a job, you need to have some type of career where you're either in sales and you have an unlimited income potential, or you have to start your own business. And so me realizing that, it's quite obvious there's only one solution. I just need to figure out the way around that solution of generating leads. And usually in the financial services business, you generate leads by your network, but we live in an age where you don't necessarily need a large network if you can build a large social platform.
And when you say like so that you can actually hit your personal goals, like what are you referring to there though? Like what are your personal goals that you want to hit?
Again, this is a live example of me. I always tell you guys, don't move on until you get the answer that you need. And this is a live example of me doing exactly that, because I still haven't got feeling. I still haven't got positive emotion. I've just got tangibles. It's too logical. So I've really got to get some feeling here. So that's why I keep re-asking.
Yeah, for sure. Personal goals for me is building a scalable business. That's number one. Unlocking my income potential. That's number two. Number three is unlocking my income potential so that I can help my mother.
Boom, there it is. Let's go. We got the answer we need, and now we're going to probe on that.
You know, I have a mother that is dependent on me. So personal goals are just building a sustainable, scalable business. I really don't set personal goals at some type of dollar amount.
Yeah.
Just simply because when you set it at some type of dollar amount, I feel like that's a very vague goal. And
Yeah,
once you
yeah.
reach that goal, it's like, what's next?
Yeah, it's like we all want more money, but it's what it allows us to do, right? And it sounds like for you, it allows you to actually look after your mum.
Yeah, look after my mom, and again, just build a scalable business. And I've worked with enough entrepreneurs to know, like you said, like honestly, building this business, scaling YouTube is probably going to make me more busier than free up my free time. But I also believe that with time, when you do scale the business, if you scale it the right way, you will get that free time.
Yeah.
You will, but it definitely ain't going to be in the first 2-3
Yeah.
years, right? Like,
No,
that's
it's-
something that comes after like 5-10 years.
Yeah, it's good you've got those expectations. And like, I guess right now, like, can I ask, like, with the current income you're on from your full-time job, like, are you not able to look after your mum as much as I guess you'd like to at the moment?
Cool. So we've got some positive. Now we're going to pull the rug from under his feet. Now we're going to bring him back to reality, and then we're going to consequence it even worse. So we've got, this is where he wants to be. Then we're like, okay, cool. That's what you want, but we don't want it to stay in airy fairy land. Let's bring it back to reality. Where are you currently at? And then you'll see what we do after that as well.
Oh no, and that's never going to be the case. Working a salary job. It's just how it is, man.
Okay.
Like that's never going to be the case. I mean, I work with entrepreneurs, and some of our entrepreneur clients are YouTube stars. Believe it or not, at my financial planning firm. And the way I see it is, it's a hard road. There's probably a lot of stuff that I don't know and that roadblocks I'm going to run into.
Yeah.
But in the end, if somebody else can do it, I can do it too, right?
Yeah.
It ain't rocket science. It's just a matter of getting yourself around the right people and
Yeah.
figuring out the right system.
Yeah, just finding someone that's done what you want to do and just skipping all the roadblocks they had to get over, right? Like for you to actually be at the point where you've got this successful business, like, you know, just using numbers just for easy sake, but, you know, 200, 250K plus per year, whatever allows you to do it full time, and like actually having the financial ability to look after your mum as well, like as much as you'd like to, like how would that actually feel to be able to do that?
It would feel great. It would just be another, I guess, another brick put in the house. You know, just my mindset. It's about the journey, not the destination, right? Everything is about taking the next and scaling yourself up. So with that being said, I really don't have this like pie in the sky. One day I'm going to do this and all my problems are going to be fixed.
Yeah.
It's more about, hey, how do I take the next step with what's presented in front of me right now?
Yeah.
And I think based on what's presented in front of me right now, the next step for me is figuring out leads and clients. And then after that, the next step may be something else, right?
Yeah.
It may be switching from an LLC to a corporation. It may be a merger and an acquisition. Whatever that case may be, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I kind of just focus on what's in front of me at the moment,
Yeah.
and then adjusting as necessary.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally get that because you sound like a realist, right? Like you've got the right expectations, which is awesome. Like they're the people who tend to see the best results because they know it's going to take time and effort. At the same time, like, do you know a guy called Tony Robbins?
Do what with Tony Robbins?
Do you know who Tony Robbins is?
Oh, absolutely. I've met him in real life.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So like one thing he says that like really stuck with me is like clarity equals power, right? Like the clearer we get on what we want and why we want it, like how it'd feel to get there, and also what we don't want, like the more likely we are to get there, right? Because when we know where we're heading and we know what we like don't want, it gives us more direction to actually get there. So for you, it sounds like, you know, building the business gives you that financial freedom. You're able to look after your mum. That's like one side of the coin. And then I'm not saying this will happen because like obviously you're on the call for a reason, right? Like you want to get professional help, you want to make a change, but let's just say the YouTube kind of stays stagnant for the next, I don't know, 3, 6, 12 months, and maybe like you don't learn the right skills to grow it. Again, I'm not saying that will happen because obviously you want to make a change, but let's just say that did, like what would that actually look like?
It looked like just going back to the drawing board and pivoting.
Cool. So this is where we're going to ask about the consequence of inaction. You know, what happens if you don't learn the right skills? What happens if the business stays stagnant? And I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, he doesn't give me the answer I need the first time. So we're going to re-ask. But that's the thought process behind that question.
You know, if something doesn't work out, I'm not one to really beat myself up about it. Business is all about figuring out what doesn't work so that you can figure out what
That's not what I want to hear. So you'll see how I re-ask.
does work. And so for me, if nothing changes in the next 6 to 12 months, okay, cool. Now I just know what doesn't work, or I know this service doesn't work or whatever, and it's time to pivot to something else. I have a high degree of confidence that the YouTube will work, quite frankly, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not the first person that has tried to figure this out. There's plenty of people that are successful doing it, so I believe I can do it. I have a high degree of confidence also because the information that I'm giving is not only information that people need, but it's information that's very valuable and helpful to people, right? So it's one thing if I'm going on YouTube just making jokes or reaction videos, nothing wrong with those. There's plenty of people that are very successful. But it's another thing when you're adding tangible value. And I'm not looking to be Jake Paul on YouTube right now. I'm looking to use YouTube as a source so that people know what I do, they know what I stand for, they know the services that I offer, and also as a resource, like I said, when I meet people and I say, hey, I'm a financial advisor, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to look you up on social media or whatever. And so if people look you up and they see you have however many subscribers, they see you have a long track record of videos, whether we like it or not, it's instant validation. Right? They feel
100%. Oh, and sorry.
Your videos and see.
Well, what I meant was, because I'm not doubting like your work ethic or your ambition. Like I can tell you're the type of guy that's not going to give up. Like I can hear that in your voice. At the same time, like when we cross the road, like we check both ways, right? Like we check one way, we check the other. So for you, like what does it actually look like though if you don't, I guess, like get the right help or learn the right skills to grow the YouTube? I'm not saying you never will. You obviously will at some point. But let's just say the YouTube stays stagnant for the next 3, 6, 12 months. Like what would that actually look like though, if you really thought about it?
Yeah, so if it does, it more so be going back to the drawing board and figuring out what medium is the best for my specific business, for my specific audience. The beautiful thing about YouTube is there's plenty of different audience members, but really maybe, sometimes YouTube just isn't the best platform for what you're trying to do. It may be TikTok.
Yeah, well can I offer a perspective there?
Completely different.
Yeah, I mean, like, are there...
So I'm not happy with that because now he's saying, oh, YouTube might not work for him. Like the call was kind of going a bit off here. And I actually remember my thoughts. I was conscious of the time on the podcast, but I'm like, that's not what I want him to talk about. I don't want him to start telling me, oh, YouTube may not work, TikTok might be better. So that's where I'm going to reframe that belief for him right here.
People in the financial services industry that are successful through YouTube?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So if you missed that, I asked, are there other people in your industry that are successful with YouTube?
So like, would it be...
The only difference is, I will add an asterisk next to that.
Yeah.
Most of them are not licensed financial advisors. Most of and I feel like that's what gives me an edge.
And you are.
I feel like what also gives me an edge is I'm African American.
Yeah. So it makes it even easier to stand out then. You got your license and you got that going for you. Okay.
Exactly. I'm licensed. So most guys on YouTube, and I've done some research on this, before, because like I said, this is a business.
Yeah.
Most people on YouTube are just entertaining people that talk about finance and money.
Yeah. So where I'm kind of getting at then, like it probably wouldn't be down to the vehicle of YouTube being wrong. It might just be down to the strategy and having the skills of being able to make YouTube work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right. So it's all about
Cool. So I just wanted to basically get him to admit YouTube can work. He just needs to learn the right things to do so.
pivoting and adjusting, right? So if it ain't working, all right, let's figure out what does.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I mean, like for you, like, do you feel like you're actually ready to like, I guess, get help and make a change with the YouTube so you can actually start growing it and transition out of your full-time job?
So this is where we're going to transition into the pitch now.
Yeah, I do, but
You don't seem so sure.
was that?
Yeah, I said you don't seem so sure.
No, I am. It's just with the caveat of, just understanding on the other side of the service, like, what is that path?
Yeah, 100%.
And the reason I say that is because, I've talked to different people in the past, and if I'm just being transparent and honest, like some people, and I know this because I have to do this with my clients, some people have zero idea of like showing a value proposition.
Yep.
They're just like, oh, hey, take this course or
do
my 90-day program. And they actually don't lay out like, hey, look, man, like this is the vision, this is the value that we're going to add for you, and this is what we need on your part. And that's exactly what I do for my clients every single day when I have them invest. Right? Like I just don't go in there and say, oh, hey, invest in this.
No, 100%.
Yeah. So do you want me to walk you through? Because like I know we can help. Like we've worked with too many clients for me to not believe that we can help. For you, it's just like matching it with the work ethic and the drive, which I can tell you clearly will. So do you want me to walk you through like step by step what we would actually do for your channel so that you can actually transition?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I can match that back and probably give you feedback on some things that I've tried so far.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. So asking permission to pitch, right? I don't just go, awesome, here's how we're going to help. I want to get him to verbally agree. Hey, do you want me to walk you through how I can help? Yes, sweet. You'll notice a lot of the call is permissive-based language, right? He's running the call. It's his direction. It's his business, not mine. And that's my view on sales as well. Like, I'm not trying to force something down his throat. I don't want to tell him he needs this if he doesn't feel like he does. I'm going to have him tell me all the reasons he wants to do it. He wants to make a change. and then get his permission to show him how we can help him do that.
100%. Cool. So the way we structure
Now,
it,
this is probably the part a lot of people are asking me about the most in the DMs is, okay, cool, you can run most of the call, but how did you do the pitch without ever selling it before? And really, whenever I come onto a new offer or I sell something I haven't sold before and I'm creating my pitch, I just break it down into 3 pillars that they're going to get. So usually it's some kind of, course, it's some kind of coaching, and then it's a third thing that I make up for the offer. So for this one, I can't remember exactly what it was. I was genuinely making it up on the fly. So let's have a look what I said. But you'll see the overall structure is similar. It's like pillar 1, whatever it is. Does that make sense? Yes. Do you feel like that would help? Yes. Sweet. Pillar 2. And that's the whole pitch structure.
is we structure it as a 6-month mentorship. And this is a private mentorship, one-on-one coaching with Oscar. Now, for us to build your channel to the point where you're making 200 grand plus per year and you're able to do it full time, we charge $6K USD for the 6 months so that you can transition. Okay.
Oh, people ask me about this. I also do a price drop at the start of the pitch. The reason I do it at the start of the pitch is it's the elephant in the room. Everyone wants to know how much the thing's gonna be. So I like to get it out of the way, because then during the pitch, they're not thinking, okay, this is great, but how much is it gonna cost? How much is it gonna cost? And they're all fearful, and it's just, we're not talking about it. I'd rather just get it out there, say, look, this is the investment. You'll see I do a little qualification and confirmation around that, so that then as I pitch, they're constantly thinking in their mind, okay, it's 6K, but I get this. It's 6K, but I get that. And they're starting to think about the ROI. Now, this isn't a major deal. It depends on your offer. I would say if you're selling fitness, you're probably better off doing price at the end of the pitch, or if it's something that's like really emotional, maybe like a dating offer even, something like that. But if it's, a business offer, coaching, they're a business owner, this guy's in the finance industry, they're fairly sophisticated, I would do the price at the start of the pitch.
Now, I'll obviously walk you through what that comes with, what that looks like, all that good stuff. But off the bat, like knowing that there's obviously an investment to help you build the business, is that a like complete conversation killer, like totally scared you off already no matter what, or are you still open to that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, 6K when you're trying to.
Cool. So I asked a no-based question there. He's 9.5 times out of 10, people are going to say no, which is what I want them to say. Is that a conversation killer? Have I scared you off already? No, you haven't. I know there's investment to get to the success that I want to get to. Right? So little confirmation. And then now that I pitch, he's just going to be thinking ROI, ROI, ROI.
The business is like pennies.
Yeah, I thought that's something you would say, because you give me that impression of a smart business owner.
People that run, like I said, a lot of people you probably talk to are just guys, right? They just want to do like when you're running a business, you understand like you have some overhead upfront cost.
Yeah, cool. So in terms of what you get for that, so the first thing, remember how you mentioned that you want to get more views and obviously more organic reach so you can get more leads?
Correct.
So the first thing,
Remember how you said, right? Remember earlier when I said to you guys that everything you told me he wants help with, I'm going to pitch him. That's what I'm doing here. And I'm verbally reaffirming, hey, you know how you said you want this? We do this. So that in his mind, he goes, I have problem, they have solution, and he connects the dots.
we're going to do with you is we're going to look at your channel and we're going to do a live audit. So Oscar's going to sit down with you. He's going to do an audit. He's going to do a deep analysis on your channel, what's working, what's not working, why you're not getting the amount of views and subscribers that you'd like to, and then how we can actually convert those leads. That's step 1. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Do you feel like that would help you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then from there, once we're getting leads, now I'm not saying that will happen instantly. Obviously, time takes time, but you will see traction pretty quick. Like you'll start to see new views, new leads, things like that. Then from there, it's like, sweet, how do we take these leads and how do we actually convert them into sales, into clients? That's the most important thing, right? That's how you make money as a business. So then everything in terms of the nurture sequence through YouTube, top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel. So you actually convert them as clients and not just get a bunch of views that looks really cool and is like impressive that you show your grandma, but like stuff that's actually going to grow the business. We then teach you that as well. You with me on that?
Yep.
Okay. Again, do you feel like that would actually help you though?
Absolutely. I can take the knowledge. Like I said, I'm not at the point where I'm ready to sell, because as long as I'm with the firm, again, it'd be a direct conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I know that. But the information and when I am ready, because
Yeah.
my vision on it was, build a large following. They really like me. They like what I'm talking about. And then, because, for example, I wrote a whole ebook that I have. I just haven't put it out there because I've been waiting to kind of build an audience. I'm like, why am I going to release an ebook?
Didn't actually notice, and I wasn't looking while I was selling, obviously, but it's so funny seeing Oscar's reaction to me during the call, because he told me afterwards, he's like, mate, in his British accent, he's like, mate, I have never sold it better than that, and it's my own freaking offer. So it was just funny. It's funny watching back to see his reaction. while I'm selling.
Does make sense.
Yeah, 100%. So the first thing we got to do is like get you traction first, and then obviously once you're ready to sell, we'll walk you through that. So that's
Oh, right there as well. I was texting Oscar for the payment link too. So you see me both go on our phones. I'm like, yo, send me the payment link just so that I'm ready to go.
fine. Then from there, it's like, okay, sweet. So in terms of how we coach, there's a few different ways. We've got a bunch of modules that are recorded by Oscar showing you step by step how to build the foundations, everything you need to go through, like A to Z. So that's super clear. Now you can go through that in your own time. That's totally fine. That's one way. But that's a little bit limited because obviously what's unique about your business is going to be different to other businesses out there that we work with, right? So then every single week, Oscar will have a one-on-one call with you. So he'll jump on Zoom, have a
So right here, I'm actually getting the deliverables from Oscar. I'm like, yo, how often do you coach again? Like, what does that actually look like? And I actually fucked up. I said that he gets a one-on-one call with Oscar each week, and I had to like pivot and change because he doesn't do that. He does Loom videos instead. So I was like, crap. So you'll see me switch like midway.
your channel, do that analysis, like I said, and that'll be weekly for you every week. And then you'll also have a group coaching call every week on Thursday as well. So that's with other channels,
I looked at Oscar. I was like, shit, I fucked up.
other clients we've got as well, so that you not only learn off your channel what's working, what's not, but you also learn off other channels as well. Okay. So you got one group call a week. And then in terms of the one-on-one support, you pretty much have unlimited one-on-one access to Oscar in the sense of feedback, messaging, and questions. So like he's not going to jump on 100 calls with you a week, obviously. But anytime you need help, like if you have any questions, you're like, hey, what do you think of this video? Anything like that, Oscar will record. Have you used Loom in your business?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So Oscar will be able to record like anytime you need a Loom, like a video explanation, just specifically on what you need so that we can both make the most of our time and you're not spending like, an hour on Zoom just catching up, but you're just getting actionable steps every single week. You also get as much of that as you want throughout the 6 months.
Okay.
Do you feel like that's enough like support and like personalization from your end?
So one of the questions that I have as far as like in this may be something that Oscar helps with, it maybe not.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different theories out there. Hey, you got to post every week. Oh, you got to post every month. I will admit,
I think at this point, the podcast guys were like, yo, you gotta bounce. And we were like, shit, give me like 10 minutes.
schedule simply because, again, this isn't my full-time job, right? And, sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's bi-weekly. Now that I'm not in grad school, I can type that up a bit. But when Oscar helps, is it one of those things where it's like, oh man, you got to post every single week and it's got to be on this day at this time and those kind of things like that? Like, I'm just not ready to be that.
No, that's totally fine. Like we tailor it for you. So we tailor it for your business and where you're ready, but we're also going to have all of the information and all the support ready to go as soon as you need it. So if you can't do post like 3 times a week, once a week straight away, that's totally fine. We're just there whenever you're ready to do it.
Got you.
Yeah.
And as far as like expectations for a channel owner, expectations for a business owner, like what should the expectations be after
Yeah.
6 months to be like, hey, this is legit.
Yeah. So happy to go into that. Just before I do, so I answer best. Like, what's the main reason you ask?
So I'm kind of deflecting there because he just asked me a question. Like, I think he said, how much time is it going to take or something like that. Now, obviously, we can't give him a timeline because there's so many factors outside of our control. So whenever there's an answer or a question like that, where I don't really know the answer, there's no clear answer, I like to find out why they're asking in the first place because then I can just tackle that. So for example, how long is this going to take? Yeah, happy to answer that. Just before I do, what's the main reason you ask? Just so I can answer best. And then he's going to tell me why he asked, and then I can just address that.
I just mainly ask, just set expectations on my part. I'm a big believer. I do the same thing with all of my clients to hold me accountable. Is like setting the expectations, what it is and what it's not. Do I expect in 6 months, you're going to have 1 million subscribers? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. But I do want to know, like, okay, from your end of the business, what should I be expecting so that I can make sure, not only is the value there for me to pay the $6,000, but also that I can hold, members accountable and say, hey, like, these were the expectations.
Yeah.
We're either falling short or, hey, we've exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%. I totally get that. So, I'll be honest, we're not going to give you, we can't really give you the answer you want, right? Because the answer that you want is, by this time, you'll have X amount of views, X amount of clients, everything like that. And we just can't do that because no matter how good we are at what we do, and no matter how good your videos are, there's always going to be an element of luck and an element of YouTube's algorithm.
Sure.
Now, we can do everything we can to be on the right side of luck and make sure that when luck happens, we've got the preparation to meet it, but we can't put expectations there. So what we can say is that if you do everything you possibly can and you implement the advice that we give you, there's no reason you can't see results with it. But in terms of a timeline and X views and X dollars, I'm sure you can appreciate being in business yourself, it's just not something we can realistically set because there's things outside of our control.
Now, a lot of closers would be afraid to say that. A lot of business owners watching would be afraid to say that because a lot of us would fold. We'd say, oh, within 6 months, within 3 months, we want to give a timeline because we think that will give them certainty. But most times, us just being upfront, just being honest, like, hey, this isn't the answer you want, but it's the freaking truth. People respect that, especially in 2025. Everyone, when they ask that question, the sales guy is going to be like, oh, within 3 months, within 6 months, I'll give you a timeline. And people appreciate honesty. People appreciate authenticity. So by me starting off, dude, this isn't the answer you want, but it's the truth, he probably respected that a lot more.
Is that fair?
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fair.
Okay.
It's the same thing in financial services. Like, I can't tell you where the market's going, but I can tell you what works.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, like that's the overall like structure and layout. Like, I guess, do you feel like that is the sort of help that?
Not gonna lie, part of what's fun about selling this live on the podcast is I was rushing a little bit, and to be honest, there was probably a little bit of commission breath at the end, because I was like, man, like I want to wrap this up. I want to close in like live on the podcast so I can flex on YouTube. So part of that probably affected the call. And you can see I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to move on to the close now. So
You're actually looking for though?
Yeah, mainly, like I said, I'm looking for help on growth. I'm looking for help on structure. One of the other questions that I have is, there are some tools that are tied outside of YouTube that I know are great to go in conjunction with your YouTube.
Yeah.
For example, one of them is Conversion Kit.
Yeah.
Does your team help with those things, or do they just keep it on?
Sorry, you just cut out at the end there. What was the last bit?
Oh, I said, does your team help with those tools, or do they just keep it 100%?
So our like bread and butter is YouTube. So we focus on YouTube. Now other tools can help, but like Oscar's obviously done it for himself. We've done it for other clients as well. Like our bread and butter is YouTube. So that's what we focus on.
Got you.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, I have a lot of tools. Maybe you have some insight on this. You guys have been doing this much longer than me.
Yeah.
I have some tools like vidIQ.
Mhm.
I have tools. What other tools that I have? Just all those tools, and all the scores, keyword, SEOs on there are really high, but
Yeah.
I just still haven't, crossed that hump. My question is like, what does your team do differently from the tools that are currently available that say, hey, title your video like this, the thumbnail has to do like this, and they give you a score.
Yeah.
You'll score high, but you're still, stuck.
So like AI is getting better, but it's not like at the point yet where it's fully replaced the human element of going, okay, here's what works for this industry and here's what doesn't, right? Because it's more than just a title. Like people have to stay on your video and you have to retain their attention, right? That's how YouTube's algorithm works. They want you to stay on there. So that's what we're going to teach you, because AI can't teach you that. Does that make sense?
Great.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So you notice like it's kind of gotten into Q&A a little bit more than I would have liked. But at this point, he's asking a lot of questions, and you guys can probably notice like I'm giving him a little bit of what he wants and then I'm moving on. Where most coaches, especially coaches and business owners, go wrong, and sometimes closers as well, is we try and answer the question in so much depth, in so much detail, and give them every specific ounce of information possible because we think that's what they want to hear. They don't actually need to hear that on the sales call. They don't need to hear the solution. They don't need to hear the products, the features, benefits. They just need to know, can this get them to where they want to go? So I give a little taste so that he's not like, oh, this guy's not answering my question. He's just deflecting. He's just avoiding the question entirely. I give him a little taste and then I move on.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I mean, it sounds like we've covered what you're looking for. Obviously, next steps from here is we can process that payment, get you onboarded, get you rocking and rolling, and book your call in with Oscar as well for your onboarding. Is that cool, or how do you want to move forward?
Yeah, so you guys are in the UK.
That's me asking for the close, essentially, if you couldn't tell.
What is the time usually work? Because the best times for me to do this are in the evenings. I did it in the morning because this was the only time I was available. But I know the evening for me in Arizona is like 1 in the morning in the UK. How does the time work for the tools and everything?
Yeah, I'll just double check. So what were the times that you can't do? Like,
Cool. So again, I freaking love watching this back. I learned a really good lesson. This was from one of my mentors, Michael Dunleavy. He taught a lot of how I sell around no-based, challenging, and things like that. And one of the things he taught me is if someone asks you for the call times, then instead of just giving them the call times, giving them the calendar, and then them saying, oh, I can't make that, you kind of flip it back on them. You say, oh, are there any times you can't make? And then usually they're like, oh, no, I was just curious. And you're like, oh, okay, sweet. Yeah, we have various different times and all the calls are recorded. Boom, you move on. Instead of just giving them a bunch of times and giving them a reason to say no.
any times you can't do?
So the best times for me are 4
I had no idea what times the calls were, so I'm like asking Oscar now.
my time, anytime after 4 p.m. my time, that's usually when I'm finishing up work.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be, I think the UK is,
And what time do you start work?
and I start work at 8 a.m.
The reason I asked him that is because I'm pretty sure the coaching call was while he was working. So if you have live coaching calls while someone's working or whatever, then you'll see what I do to reframe it. But that's why I'm asking him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So what most of our clients do is like, if you can't make the times, we actually record all of the coaching calls as well. So you can always watch them back. And then because you've got the feedback from Oscar, like if you ever had a question that because you couldn't make the live call, you weren't able to ask, like you can literally just message Oscar and say like, hey, I didn't get a chance to jump on the call. Can you answer this question? And it's as if you were there live on the call.
Okay, and then what about like the one-on-ones?
So the one-on-ones, it's more a sense of like, if you need it, like outside of the looms, like Oscar can schedule a time with you that works for both of you guys, because obviously it's one-on-one. It's just not a set thing where they go like, okay, we have a weekly set call, because typically what ends up happening is by the time that Oscar takes a deep dive into your channel, records a loom, you get the feedback, you start implementing, we're going to get in this cycle where it's pretty synonymous and we don't need like a weekly call set. So those are flexible depending on your times and we can find something that works. But generally that's why we do the looms as well, because it's just so much more time efficient.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Beautiful, man. Ready to rock and roll?
Sounds good. My last final question on
Yeah.
it. I went through the website a little bit, but not too in depth. I'll definitely go in depth before I purchase. But is there like any materials or anything else that would be helpful that you guys can send me to help me make a final decision? You know, I'm 100% going to get help. I'm just trying to decide who I'm going to get help from.
Yeah.
Make a final decision. But do you guys have like any materials that would be helpful that could guide me in?
Yeah, that's cool. Just so I can confirm, like, in terms of the investment, like, is it a case where you have the 6K, you're just not sure if you want to do it yet, or is it more so a case that like that doesn't currently work and like we're gonna have to go rob a bank?
Cool. So that is me essentially filtering him logistically, because he gave me some weird objection. I'm not going to handle that. I'm going to go straight for money. Okay. Do you have the money? Do you know of the money? Like, where are you at?
Just so I'm aware.
No. So the money is not the issue.
Okay.
I'm just trying to decide. There's a lot of people doing this. If
Yeah.
I'm, being honest. And
Yeah.
so my decision is just going to be based on, hey, I don't want to do the trial and error. Pay 6K here or 5K here. Like,
Yeah.
be it. I'll do it. More so me just evaluating like, okay, who's offering what, who's
Yeah.
the absolute best decision, and let me roll with that. It's not
Yeah.
a matter of like this is too expensive.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and that's like like I totally get that because obviously you want to make sure that you do the best thing for you and your business. I guess like based off what we went through, like, do you feel like that does tick the boxes in terms of what you're looking for? Like, it makes sense and it feels right, or how do you feel? Because that's the most important thing.
Oh yeah.
So right here, I want to get buy-in, right? He gave me an objection about looking at other people. I want to get buy-in on what we went through first before I start handling anything.
It definitely makes sense. It definitely feels right. I
Yeah.
think it touches on
What
the areas I'm looking for.
What in particular do you feel like would actually help you get there though, just from your perspective?
On the YouTube side, or
Like working with us in our mentorship.
Oh, well, just, I guess, let me think about this for a second, because I don't know exact materials, but I guess I'm just thinking about it related to my business, for example. Usually, we present, the idea, the proposition to clients, and then, we just provide them with learning materials or, more information about, like, okay.
At this point, he's basically like, this is the thing about guys in finance is they're typically very slow decision makers. They're used to sending contracts and taking a week before doing something and making decisions, and they just see business as that way. So he saw this as that way as well. And I think now he's kind of deflecting. He's like, oh, cool, we've had the initial call. Now I'm just going to go away and do things like I always do. And like there's a few reframes you can do. And I actually threw quite a bit at him, but then it got to a point, you'll see we get kicked off the seat, and I'll explain what happens in a bit. But we got to a point where I was like, me continuing to push this guy isn't going to be beneficial. So I left it at that, which you'll see in a sec, and then he sold the next day anyway.
Now that I presented this information to you, I want you to go back, read this, just so that they are fully aware of the expectations,
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I get that. We've worked with a few guys in your space. So, like, just to be frank, like, we're a little bit different. Like, we kind of just, like, we usually get...
This was me. I'm going to be honest. I probably wouldn't have done this if I was just, like, in a normal setting, but I did want the sale on the call. So I was... it's probably a bit more, like, forceful than I would like. I was kind of just saying, oh, we do it this way. Is that cool? I was just trying my luck to see if he would do it. But obviously he didn't, unfortunately.
On the call if everything sounds right and feels right from your end. But I guess from your end, like, what are you potentially hoping to see from like other coaches or other mentors out there that maybe we don't do? Just to see if I can help.
I guess there was nothing in particular at the top of mind. It's just something that I always, it's something that I always ask, my clients too. A lot of times, even if they know they're going to make an investment decision or whatever like that, I'm like, hey, look, don't make it right now. Take 24 hours, 48 hours. Here goes some materials. I just didn't know if you guys had that right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We typically, like, to be frank, like, we typically just get started straight away. So we just like get the ball rolling, because in terms of the materials and that, it's pretty much everything we went through. So like getting you leads, getting you more views, working on obviously SEO, thumbnails, viewer retention, all that sort of stuff, conversion, and giving you the tools you need so that when you are ready, you can do that. And then also like giving you the personalization and support. Because the truth is, like, you're right, there are a lot of coaches and they all can work. It's just about like choosing one and just backing it, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we can give you the best material out there, but you know, whose responsibility is it to actually make the program work for you and actually get results from it?
It's my responsibility at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but like from your end, like, why do you say it's your responsibility?
Because the hammer is only as good as the person who's using it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, at the end of the day, it's my business. You know, nobody's going to come in there and just give you some magic pill. They're only going to give you something that'll help you cross the bridge.
Yeah, because there's like two type of mindsets you can have, right? Like, there's a mindset of like, okay, what program's going to be right for me? Like, that's one mindset. And then the other one is like, okay, any program can work. Like, what do I need to do to make it work, right? Like, what mindset do you feel like would serve you better to actually get to where you want to be?
Yeah, it's all about you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what I guess any type of service business. You know, we do the same thing as a financial advisor. I tell people all the time, I give you all the investments.
Alrighty. Yeah, so at that point, we basically got kicked off the podcast studio. So I did about another 5 minutes of objection handling, trying to see what he was, wanting to do. Essentially what it came down to is, this is how I always make decisions sort of frame, which a lot of the time, if I'm selling a biz op, if I'm selling someone maybe a little bit less sophisticated, I wouldn't buy into that. And I know it's fear. But with this guy, I just made a judgment call and I was like, I genuinely don't think pushing this guy is going to get me a sale. So I thought, cool, let me lean out. We scheduled a time for the next day. And then in the morning, he essentially just texted me and was like, hey, like, I'm ready to go. Can we just start? So, shows the power of having the right process. Sometimes you won't get them on the call. It's just the way it is. Depends on the prospects, depends on the type of industry you're in. Oh, and by the way, if you want me to break down your own sales call, I'm thinking about starting a series on YouTube where I actually review your sales calls that you guys submit to me. Now, I'll make the prospect anonymous. We'll edit out their voice. We'll filter all of that so that you're completely protected. We'll probably keep your face and name if you do submit a call to review, but I will break it down live on this channel for you guys, just like I do for my students inside Closers Cult, but I'll do it for you guys for free on YouTube. If you want to submit that, just shoot me a message on Instagram. My Instagram is down below, but it's at orlando.santucci. It's just my full name. Shoot me a message on there. You can send me your call recording and I can break it down for you for free on this YouTube channel. So yeah, hope you guys found some value from me breaking down this video. Any questions you have, just let me know and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.